No Chill Sports is an unapologetic, high-energy sports show where opinions fly fast and facts hit hard. The views and opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the hosts and guests, and do not necessarily reflect those of any affiliated networks, sponsors, or partners. Content may include passionate debates, bold predictions, and unfiltered takes that some viewers may find intense or controversial. Listener discretion is advised. If you're looking for chill, this ain't the place.
Hold up, why do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, then hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play a roulette with each step I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bets, cause we know where we at, we know we top tier. Cause all the hate that you bring, we know it stops here. I'm taking off like a rocketeer and stopping here. It's strange how they cannot see the future but see profit here. Wait up, we gon' always win. Promise that that's not a promise, yeah, that is a threat. You know that I promise to bring the team commas. When the whole team win, that's when you flex. Win, and I'ma do it again. Watch me win, then watch me do it again. Tell 'em.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Bayou Recap, where the passion runs deep as the Mississippi. Every single play echoes through the heart of Louisiana. From Friday Night Lights to Superdome Sundays, we break down the best in the booth. This is where Louisiana sports live, breathe, and roar. Man, what's good with you, my boy?
Man, I'm low-key kind of tired, but I'm good, man. I can't complain.
I am high-key extra tired. I can't complain. We ain't got that much time because we got a special guest and we don't want to run up his time. But I will say this. I told you before the show. One thing I do realize, the older I get, the more mature I would get. I realize that, my goals in life change. And one dream job that I wanted, I changed my mind. I don't want it no more. I found a new passion. I've given up on being a plus size stripper. I want to be a media member, full time media member. That's what I want to be.
One day, man. One day.
Yeah, but nah, man. Seriously, man. I truly enjoyed SWAT Media Day yesterday. I know we're gonna talk about a little bit. I know that's more of HBCU hour, but we got to talk to Mickey Joseph, and he had to say some good things about some Louisiana coaches.
Yeah.
From some of y'all favorites. So had to say something about La Tech too. So well, a La Tech coach. We'll get to it, man. But first, man, y'all know what we got to do. We got to give a shout out to our sponsors. First things first, man. Shout out to Dubby. Dubby is a powdered energy drink aimed at gamers and individuals seeking focus and energy. It is known for its clean ingredients, no jitters, and various flavors. W is also available in a hydration formula for those needing electrolytes. W achieves its smooth, effective focus with a high-end tasting experience while using no sugars, no fillers, no artificial colors or dyes. Do us a favor and try W today by scanning the QR code that you see on the screen, or you can visit them at the website, bit.ly/NoChillW. W, your taste buds' favorite energy drink. And oh snap, we I don't have it on here. I gotta add it, but we can be our own advertisement. If you're looking to bring your vision to life, like let's say these beautiful hats that we are wearing, or this t-shirt, then do us a favor and hit up our man DK over at Kelly Creations. Whether you're looking for screen printing, embroidery, or custom-made t-shirts, Kelly Creations has you covered. From bold logos to picture-perfect prints, nobody does it better than Donald D.K. Kelly, the mastermind behind the magic. So give him a call today at 225-202 2625, or you can shoot them an email at kellycreations225@gmail.com. And hey, let them know that No Chill Sports sent you. You just might get that extra touch of heat. Kelly Creations, nobody does it better. Man, shout out. I do want to say DK did a great job on our hats and our shirts that we had on yesterday. But man, let's go ahead and get to it. I'm looking forward to this conversation. Ever since I heard Fox mention it on the show on a Friday, I think y'all was talking, and he mentioned this. So we got to talk to him, man. From Bleed Tech Blue, Mr. Ben Carlisle, here to break down La Tech and also this big move to from Conference USA to the Sun Belt. Ben, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. I appreciate y'all having me on.
Appreciate you for joining us, man. You know, if we had to talk Tech, we got to talk to Mr. Tech, the man who runs the biggest G5 message board that there is, you know what I mean? So how you doing tonight, Ben?
Oh, doing well. I'll be honest with y'all. It kind of is nice for things to slow down a little bit. You know, I guess you go all the way back to, sometime late June when we started hearing those rumors about Texas State really ramping up to go to the Pac-12. And then you start getting Pete Thamel and Brett McMurphy and some of those guys in Louisiana Tech as that top target for the Sun Belt coming from Conference USA. You know that when those guys mention it, it's pretty substantial. And so feels like we've been working really hard over the last, 2 or 3 weeks now, but it does feel good to slow down in a sense before we get into fall camp from a football perspective.
Yeah. So obviously the ones in the area of Louisiana Tech, the locals, they all know the reason that everybody is so excited about this move to the Sun Belt Conference. But for those who aren't really familiar with Louisiana Tech and their status with CUSA, what's the excitement for? What's the big reason everybody's so happy that they're leaving Conference USA?
I was on an interview yesterday down in Waco, and those guys asked a similar question as far as, why was Conference USA not the right fit anymore? Why was there so much excitement, just from what they had seen on social media as far as Louisiana Tech moving to the Sun Belt? And I was listening yesterday. I think it was Sean mentioned it. I think 24% of FBS schools have played in Conference USA of the 136 teams, that are currently in FBS. And that's crazy to think about. But the thing that I told or have said the last few days is, and I think you guys would agree, it's just not the same Conference USA that you entered the league with back in 2013. And so as things got, moving further and further, and I felt like, especially the last few years, I think it really started when Marshall, Old Dominion, Southern Miss moved from Conference USA to the Sun Belt. You end up taking a Kennesaw State. You end up taking a Jacksonville State. You take a Sam Houston State. And that's not to, take away from any of those schools. They've had good years, especially Jacksonville State this past year winning the conference championship in football. But it did seem like it kind of took away from a fan perspective, just that intrigue. And I know some of that's involved. Some of that comes with you haven't been very good in football for the last 5 years, quite frankly. But at the same time, you got New Mexico State out in Las Cruces. You've added Delaware for 2025, and then you got FIU down in Miami. So you're spread across the country, and I think it just got to a point where it was like, you know what? The Sun Belt's gotten a lot better. I think Keith Gill's done a tremendous job as the commissioner. Let's try to get back with some of these regional rivalries when you talk about ULM, ULL, and Southern Miss. And I think the early returns is the fan base is extremely excited. And I think now it's going to be up to the programs for the play on the field to live up to some of those expectations. But it certainly has been a huge win, at least initially.
So Ben, I'll say this. My introduction to La Tech has always been those matchups with Southern Miss in Conference USA. And when Southern Miss came to the Sun Belt, I full transparency, my son actually was recruited by them, so we took a visit. And at the time, Will Hall told us, "Hey, it's a Sun Belt was a better conference. It was a better deal for us." So we had to take that, make that move. But I remember, thinking, man, that Southern Miss game's not going to be there anymore. I wonder what it's going to be like. And I mean, it's only been a short time, and I just feel like having y'all in the Sun Belt was going to be great. And not just for Southern Miss. Now you've got ULM, ULL, and I think that it creates more of more natural rivalries with y'all in the Sun Belt. What is the excitement, I guess, amongst the locals about the return of the rivalries? And I know ULM is there, but is there really kind of a ULL rivalry now kind of brewing?
Yeah, I think so. And listen, I don't think we all know, like, these schools, especially ULM and ULL, that played probably as much as they should have over the last 20 years or so. You probably go back 25 years, and I think a lot of that was due to really all three schools chasing whatever they could chase as far as the level that they thought they could get to. And I think with all the changes in college athletics with NIL, transfer portal, all these different things, I think that, really a lot of these schools from a G5 perspective, at least, have come to a realization that it's like, you know what, like, we got to figure out a way to get on a bus and go play a road game. And when you look at the West Division in the Sun Belt, you talk about ULM, you talk ULL, you talk South Alabama, Southern Miss, Troy, Arkansas State. Like, you're not hopping on a plane. And you look at Tech's 2025 football schedule, the only road game they'll drive to is LSU. The other 5 road games, they'll have to take a plane. And Ryan Ivey told us the other day, Tech athletics director, that they project they'll save $1.5 million. And obviously that's huge for the school, but to tie that back into your local fan base perspective, you're not having to fly as a fan. Like, if you want to take a short trip down to Lafayette for, you can make it a day trip if you want to, but even if you don't, all your spending's on a hotel. I mean, that's a lot more feasible from a fan perspective. Same goes for Southern Miss. And like I said, it's any road trip within the conference from a division standpoint. I think that's what has the fans so excited, because let's be realistic. Not only did you not have rivalries with the current teams in Conference USA, you're not taking a 12-hour drive to Bowling Green, Kentucky to watch yourself play Western Kentucky. You're not flying to New Mexico State. Like, you're just not doing some of that stuff. So it's hard to keep your fans engaged wherein they don't recognize, from a local perspective. Like, you're going to see, ULM highlights on, KNOE on a Saturday night. I mean, Tech fans see it, ULM fans see it. And so that type of stuff will really, I think, enhance these rivalries as they pick back up, hopefully in 2026.
Yeah, and obviously the talk is football because, that's what drives the ship. But the Sun Belt is arguably the 3rd or 4th best baseball conference in the country also. And for a Louisiana Tech team under Lane Burroughs, that's pretty much what that school has been under Lane Burrough, baseball school now, making trips to regionals, hosting regionals. Just talk about what moving to the Sun Belt does for the other sports, not just football.
Yeah, I think let's start with football, then we'll move to those basketball, then we'll move to those diamond sports. I think from a men's basketball perspective, it's probably it's still a one-bid league, but I think from a net rating standpoint, it's probably a little bit of a step down. I don't think it's anything substantial, but I do think the conference is easier in that sense. I know, Jay Madison's had some good years. Troy's got a good program. Arkansas State was really good season ago, but I think for the most part, it's probably a slight step down in football. Baseball, softball, I think baseball, you said it right. And Lane Burroughs spoke with Matt Bellinson with the Ruston Daily Leader today. and coaches around the league and some coaches in Conference USA, they think it's the third best baseball conference in the country now. And we can get into those debates all day long until we're blue in the face. But you talk about Coastal Carolina played for a national championship. We know Southern Miss has been hosting regionals. They've been in super regionals. ULL is always very good. Troy's very good. I think Arkansas State, former Tech assistant Mike Silva up there, they just gave him a raise from $180,000 to $300,000. So they're starting to really invest in their program. James Madison's really invested. Marshall's got a brand new stadium that's only been open for a year or two. So it's a really good baseball program. I think it's only going to get better. I'm interested to see, I would imagine Coastal spends a ton of money from an NIL perspective. I would think Southern Miss does as well. And I think Tech's, probably in the ballpark with those two programs. But, you want to win a conference championship, you got to get up to their level, whatever that might be financially. And so I know from a baseball perspective, like you said, Ant, it's become a baseball school here over the last few years. And I know that they want to continue and keep that going because Lane Burroughs showed a lot of loyalty. I would imagine he's had a number of opportunities to move on, but he's stayed here in Ruston, and I think he wants to see this thing through as well.
Yeah. So this move didn't come without a little bit of controversy or pushback, shall we say. Can you talk about some of the reasons that some of the Sunbelt faithful, or the Sunbelt Big Four, I guess you would say, push back on this, and how they kind of overcame that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I've talked to a lot of different people throughout this process, and I don't know, how much they really had to overcome. Once you hear the administrators talk about it, I think, like you said, some of that perception on social media made us feel like, oh boy, they might not get there, or that, and we've known, 6 months to a year, Tech's been wanting to get down this path. They've been wanting to get to the Sun Belt as soon as they could, just to rekindle some of those rivalries. But it was interesting to me throughout the process to see some of those Eastern-based schools so against Louisiana Tech. And I don't know if it was a true hate, in terms of competition, or in terms of, you're not good enough to be in our league, as much as it was, we want to be the group of schools that get to decide who that next addition is to replace Texas State. Now, and it sounds like, and it looks like, I guess, too, publicly, as you've watched it play out the last few years, it does feel like the league's very divided from an Eastern Division and a Western Division standpoint, which fascinates me. And I think 5-10 years down the road, at some point, the Sun Belt probably does break up and becomes even more regionalized as far as the two divisions. But that's a story for a different night. But it was so fascinating because you knew ULM was on your side. You knew ULL was on your side. You knew Southern Miss was on your side, which, if you think about it, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But they're all pulling in the same direction because it's closer road games, cheaper travel. I think it does, they get their own benefits from it from an attendance standpoint. But I don't know. And there's still things going on social media as far as fans saying stuff from some of those Eastern Division schools. But I think if you're Louisiana Tech, maybe you do wear that heel. You embrace it. You embrace being the villain. And obviously you got to produce results if you're going to do that. But it has been very fascinating to watch over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. So I guess we could kind of transition to what would be Louisiana Tech's last season in Conference USA for football this year. And last year was kind of disappointing to say the least for Louisiana Tech fans if you look at the results on the field. But I think there were some promising things that you could take away. What's your overall thoughts on last year's season before we look forward?
Yeah, I think from a promising standpoint, defensively, you were really good. Jeremiah Johnson came in from Northern Iowa. I think a lot of folks were like, why are you hiring a defensive coordinator from Northern Iowa who has probably never even been to the state of Louisiana in his life, but it worked out extremely well. It was a 3-3-5 scheme. That's a scheme that I think over the next 4 or 5 years, we probably start seeing it more in college football. We've obviously gotten to a point offensively where guys play in space or teams play in space so often. But I think that 3-3-5 look has become one, especially in college, where teams can struggle on an offensive line, that you can negate some things from a quarterback and give them some different looks. And so I think defensively they're really good. I don't know that there are a ton of positives offensively, and I think that's the disappointing part is, Sonny Cumbie's an offensive head coach. I think we all remember his playing days at Texas Tech, throwing for 5,000 yards in that Mike Leach system, and I think a lot of Tech fans were wanting that. I think that's kind of been Tech's identity, has been an offensive program for a number of years. So while you're very good on defense, it's like, yeah, but I'd rather be very good on offense and be terrible on defense if I had to choose between the two. And they're hoping they've made some changes in the offseason. Obviously, defensive coordinator Jeremiah Johnson's off to Coastal Carolina, new offensive coordinator as well. So it'll be interesting to see how things look here in 2025.
With this being the last season, I don't know how to put this. I was going to say, do we see a Conference USA swan song? Do you think it's going to be a lot of bitterness on La Tech leaving, or?
I think, honestly, that goes back to the rivalry standpoint. Like who doesn't like in the league? Like, you could say Sam Houston State might not like you, but did they know you well enough to not like you? Like, I think if there was one school that had some bitterness to you, it'd probably be Western Kentucky, just because they would have probably preferred to have your spot in the Sun Belt. But I think Sam Houston State, like, they're trying to establish themselves. Same goes for Jacksonville State. I think when you look at Missouri State and Delaware, one, they're not anywhere remotely close to Ruston, Louisiana, but two, they got other focuses. Like, they're trying to prove that they belong at this level. I don't know that New Mexico State will ever care about football now that Jerry Keel's gone. UTEP's trying to get to, they're going to the Mountain West in 2026. FIU, you watch a game at FIU, there's like 24 people in the stands. Like, and I think, you talk about all these different things as far as the lack of interest. I don't know if you could create a ton more interest if you were more regionalized. But also, it's like, you know what? I don't care what happens this year. Like, I'm just glad to get out of this place because there is no juice to it. Like, you haven't had any buzz. And like I said, a lot of that's due because you haven't won in football for a number of years. But there's no excitement to play any opponent within the conference just because you're not within driving distance and you don't really relate to them all that much.
Yeah. So, obviously, the defense, you returned some guys on that defense, but offensively, Amari Wiggins maybe the main guy that you return. I know you lose True Edwards, you lose your tight end. Like, what did the expectations for the offense this season?
Yeah, I think that's a lot of what they're trying to figure out. Evan Bullock's back. I thought Evan Bullock, he's a redshirt freshman. I think when he was in there, he averaged 20, 23 points a game, which isn't great. But I think when you look at his numbers, 67 completion percentage, 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I think there's something to work with at the quarterback position. So you hope that he gets another year into his career, that he settles in a little bit. But I think from a skill guy standpoint, I do think Amari Wiggins is probably your go-to guy at running back. I know Monty Givens did some good things. I thought Clay Thevening is a transfer from Navarro, junior college kid. I thought he was probably that one guy in the backfield in the spring that had good size, good speed. I'm not sitting there telling you he could rush for 1,000 yards, but he looked like the most complete back, I guess is the best way to put it. So he was impressive. They've added Andrew Burnett, a big 240-pound running back from Kaiser University in Florida. He had a big time there. Big time career at Kaiser. How does he acclimate himself to Division I level? They're going to have a bunch of options at running back. Wide receiver, for me, it's wide open. Like, and that's the scary part. Like, because you watch him during the spring. I think Devin Gandy's a transfer from Sacramento State. He had the best spring, and I don't think it was remotely close. But he caught 9 balls at Sacramento State last year, and so it's like, all right, like did Sacramento State not use him right, or is he kind of I hate for lack of a better term, is he the tallest midget? Like, I mean, you just worry a little bit as far as how talented you are in the room. And Jay Wilkerson's back. He made some big plays a year ago. Eli Finley's back at tight end. I thought he was pretty good last year as a sophomore, but he's more of a possession guy. I just don't know where that explosiveness comes from in the receiver room. And so I think as good as Evan Bullock might be, if guys aren't open, which was the case a lot of times last year when True Edwards didn't get open, you're just going to struggle to consistently move the ball drive to drive.
With that being said, talking about the football team and this upcoming season, how the players, I guess I'm trying to figure out the best words for it. Player reaction, I guess, to the whole kind of move and reaction and does this season, is it just like another season in the books? Let's go win it, try to leave out on the best note, or is it just, hey, this is another one?
Yeah, that's interesting to me. And I say that because of this. Like, in college athletics, particularly football and basketball, where we see the most transfers, like I wonder, how much pride do you have in a school? Like you've been at Louisiana Tech a year or two. Like, you don't know the history of Louisiana Tech, and you talk about the move to the Sun Belt. Well, a guy that's transferred 3 times, does he really understand the Louisiana Tech ULM rivalry, or Louisiana Tech Southern Miss, Louisiana Tech ULL? I don't know that. And I think that's going to be one of those pieces to the equation where, almost at the outset of every year, a coach has to come into the meeting room and say, all right, here's our history with this team. Here's our history with this team. This is why our fans care so much. And so as you go into 2025, I think the biggest thing football-wise is you won 3 games in 22. You won 3 games in 23. I think you took a bit of a step forward, especially defensively last year when you went 5-8. But, like, if you're Sonny Cumbie, like, I think at a minimum you got to go 6-6 and probably win a bowl game to get to 7-6 to, give – and listen, fans aren't the end-all, be-all, but to give your fan base a sense of optimism moving forward. But if you won 7, 8, 9 games, that's probably what you should win. Like, let's be honest, Conference USA is not very good, especially when you look at the history of Louisiana Tech football. So I think beyond moving out of Conference USA, in that locker room, there should be plenty of other motivating factors internally that kind of take care of themselves. Like, if you don't have enough pride to realize this program needs to take a step in the right direction, then at some point you're going to have to ask the question, is it time to make a move?
But that's my next question. Does this program take a step forward next season? When you look at their schedule, there's some winnable games, but there's also some games that make you wonder, how competitive will they be?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on next year's schedule?
Yeah, I think when you look at – let's start on the negative side first. I don't think you're winning at LSU. It's probably going to be difficult to beat a Western Kentucky. It's probably going to be difficult to beat Liberty. And it's probably going to be very difficult to go on the road at Washington State. Long trip, money game, late in the year. I'm sure it'll be terrible weather in Pullman. So I think those 4 games right off the bat are going to be tough to win. Now, I think you beat Southeastern. And obviously week 2, you get LSU. But following that, I think you got New Mexico State, Southern Miss, UTEP, 3 straight games. You got to find a way to get 2, maybe 3 of those. And I think I'm probably the high man on Southern Miss this year. I know they only won 1 game a year ago, but, Charles Huff's really good. And they brought in a ton of transfers from Marshall. I think that's going to be a really challenging game. I'm not saying you lose the game, but I think Southern Miss, I think they got a chance to go to a bowl game in 25. So that's going to be a challenging game. You haven't beaten New Mexico State the last couple of years. Granted, that's a home game. They added the starting quarterback from Montana State, which is a perennial playoff team in the FCS ranks. So, who knows what they'll end up being. As far as UTEP goes, year 2, Scotty Walden, Malachi Nelson transfers in there. I know he hasn't played a lot, but he was number 1 player in the country for some reason. So, if it all clicks there, maybe that's a more challenging game than you think. But there are winnable games on the schedule. You're not going to lose at Kennesaw, I wouldn't think. I think late in the year, there's a 4 weeks or last 4 games of the season, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm thinking off the top of my head. You go at Delaware, then you go all the way across the country at Washington State, then you come back home to play Liberty, and then you go back on the road to play Missouri State. And I know Delaware and Missouri State are 2 teams that are moving up, but that's a lot of travel in a little bit of time. And if you're a team that's got 3 or 4 wins at that point in the year, I can promise you those FCS programs moving up are going to be motivated because they're trying to build that momentum for 26 and beyond. So you got to be able to stay locked in later in the year. But I say right now you probably win 4 or 5 games, and it wouldn't surprise me if they won 6 or 7, but I'm going to have to see it before I predict it.
Yeah. Yeah, and Ben, again, I want to say thank you for joining us tonight. I keep going back and talking about the change to the Sun Belt. We've talked about the football team. We talked about the struggles of the football team. I know myself growing up, I'm from Alabama, but I got to see a lot of La Tech play. And I just remember some of those great teams that they had, some of the great players that came through there. Do you think the move helps bring some of that back, rejuvenates the recruiting?
Yeah, I think you have to think it does at least a little bit. Right. There's no doubt. And I told somebody this yesterday, there's no doubt you're taking a step up. And I know the bottom of the Sun Belt might not be as good on a given year, but the top of the Sun Belt, James Madison's for real. That's a good football program every year. Coastal Carolina is good every year. Tech went to South Alabama. I think it was back in 22, and that game was over halfway through the first quarter. And I'm not sitting there saying South Alabama is a great program, but they get some dudes on their team. They get good players on their roster, and I don't know if you've been able to recruit to the level that the Sun Belt has the past couple of years just because of your conference affiliation. But you got to find a way. I know in G5 these days it's hard to retain your best players. And then when you get to the transfer portal, you're looking at, power forward guys that haven't played, or you're looking for FCS guys that are looking to move up, and, you're trying to project how they're going to translate. And so I think the big thing for Tech, beyond the wins and losses, beyond the recruiting, all that kind of stuff, I think what would make Tech fans the happiest, along with this move, obviously, just get back to playing an exciting brand of football. Get back to playing a brand where you're scoring 30, 35, 40 points a week. And you know what? If you lose 42-40 and you didn't get a 2-point conversion late and that's why you lost, I think you can live with that. And I think go back to Sonny Cumbie's first year, he lost 2 or 3 games in overtime because he went for it to try to win the football game. I think you're okay with that. I think what you're not a big fan of is beating Nichols 25-17 at home. I'm not taking anything away from Nichols, but you can't turn the football over 5 times and barely get out of that game. And those are the things that are frustrating from a fan standpoint.
Yeah, losing 9-3 at Sam Houston, games like that.
Yeah.
So
you had the ball 5 times inside the 10 and didn't score a point. That's not even humanly possible, I wouldn't think, but it was on that night.
Last one I got for you, BC. Once again, appreciate your time. So assuming that Louisiana Tech makes the move to the Sun Belt in the 2026 year, what's the odds that Louisiana Tech goes into the Sun Belt with a new head coach?
I still say pretty low, as you asked me today. Now,
okay,
if you went out this year and you started 2-7, like I'll tell you right now, you're going in the Sun Belt with a new head coach. Is Sonny Cumbie the right guy for the job? I think you could answer that question a number of different ways. I think he's done some good things. I think at the end of the day, you're judged on wins and losses, and he's 11-26. So if you got to the end of this year and you were, you won 4, you're 15-34, he's probably not back. But there also is a financial component to it, where you're going to have to pay a buyout. Both your coordinators are on 2-year contracts. So I think that plays into it as well. I also think, and I've told some people this, and I think y'all would agree, you're going to have all this buzz going into the Sun Belt in 2026. And this doesn't matter if Sonny Cumbie's the head coach or, Nick Saban's the head coach. You lose to ULL and ULM in that first year, you've lost all that momentum. You've lost all that buzz right out of the gate. And, that's probably an unfair way to evaluate it, but that's just the facts. If you want to keep your fan base pumped up, you better find a way to beat those two programs. And some of that's the beauty of rivalries. Fans care a little bit more about those two games. And, we're all excited to see them. But I say right now it's pretty low that you probably go into the Sun Belt with a new head coach. I think, like I said, they probably win 5 games. I say 4 or 5. Maybe they get to 6. If they get to 6,
he's staying for sure.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. So it'll be a conversation that when we get to the month of October, we'll probably have a pretty clear understanding of the way it's headed.
I got
you. Yeah, that's it. I think I've tapped out of Sun Belt questions. I guess I got one. Actually, I don't. I was going to say I got one more Louisiana Tech question, but I really don't, because I was going to say who would be the best? Nah, can't. I was going to say I think this the obvious answer. Any best athlete or whatever. I take the I think everybody's going to say it's easy. The dad from Duck Dynasty. I mean, too easy. Anyway. Well, Ben, I truly do thank you for coming on, talk about that. Like I said, this has been a hot topic for a while. I was pulling for you guys, hoping that you would, just make that transition just simply because I feel like it's gonna do so much for the community. I think the first ULM La Tech game, whether it's in Monroe or if it's in Ruston, I think that thing's gonna sell out. It's gonna feel like in my opinion, it's gonna feel like a Friday night game where the town shuts down and everybody's kind of the town may not, you get what I'm saying. Tailgates gonna be jumping and stuff, and let it be a night game, and so everybody can brew a little bit all day. So. I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me on anytime.
Appreciate you, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the good man, Mr. Ben Carlisle from Bleed Tech Blue. Oh, we didn't let him go yet, did he? Before you go, Ben, let the people know where they can find you. Plug your publication and everything.
You can get us on Twitter at Bleed Tech Blue. You can get us on Facebook, Bleed Tech Blue, or you can come join us at the website, bleedtechblue.com. It's just $11.99 a month. So just made the transition from Rivals to the On3 network. Really excited about that move that we've been able to make. And come join us for all your news on Louisiana Tech athletics.
All right, thank you. I almost let you slip out of here without,
no, you're good.
Your stuff, man. Don't let me do that again. Don't let me do that. Well, thank you again, Ben.
Y'all go. Appreciate it, guys.
Hopefully we can bring you on mid-season and might be talking coach retention or
a bowl game, possibly. We'll see.
Bowl game?
Yeah, sounds good. Y'all just let me know.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, BC.
Y'all have a good one.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Ben Carlisle from Bleed Tech Blue.
Something wrong with the machine, man.
Oh, it's not playing the
clap. Man.
It's been acting crazy, so it's like you got to click it like 3 times.
I'm glad Louisiana Tech, ULM, ULL, Southern Miss, all of them get to reignite their rivalries, man.
You know what's gonna be a funny game? La Tech, South
It could be
Alabama.
Arkansas State too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. Arkansas State. That La Tech, South Alabama game, all that red, white, and blue. It's gonna be daggone like a 4th of July party. Man, before we get ready to go, SEC Media Days. LSU went day one. I don't know if you got a chance to hear some of the interviews from the LSU guys and Coach Brian Kelly, but your thoughts on any of them if you did get a chance to hear.
Well, I didn't watch the whole bunch, but the clips I did see, I think I was impressed with Nussmeier and his accountability, his ownership of some mistakes he had in the past, and kind of just his self-diagnosis of how he can improve and get better, and overall how that would help the team. And it's basically some of the same things we've been saying.
But we was haters
over the course of last year, but to hear him kind of own it and recognize it and have that awareness, that was kind of encouraging for me to hear. And I think Chris Hilton also was impressive. I think he's got a big chip on his shoulder this year, and I think I'm kind of excited to see him stay healthy and show everybody what he can do in a full season.
I'm gonna be honest with you. We had the conversation before media days, and we were trying to figure out who was gonna go. And people said Chris Hilton, and I said I don't think Chris Hilton's gonna go. I was like, because I remember Chris Hilton trying to talk publicly on Blake's show, and it will be. I mean, Chris was he's a great kid. He is very knowledgeable, but he was just like he was very introverted-ish, if that makes sense. So to see him kind of come out of his shell a little bit, shout out to Big Foe, because he's definitely a different man. So yeah, there you go, DK. DK said Chris definitely really talked a lot by his standards. So yeah, it was great to see him. You know what's funny? Who I didn't hear any of his clips, Whit Weeks. I didn't hear any clips from Whit Weeks. So that leads me to believe, well, I was gonna say he probably said something really wild, or he didn't say.
You would have seen that.
Yeah, so I was like, he might have been really boring, and that did kind of disappoints me, because I would want him to come out like the Bash Brothers from Mighty Ducks.
I think another interesting thing from media days was what some of the guys from Florida said about Pyburn.
Yeah,
like defensive tackle from Florida, Caleb Banks, said the LSU got a good one. They got a guy who's ready to run through somebody's face, So I was really, encouraged to hear that, his former teammates talk that highly about him.
Yeah, especially he's gone to a rival, arguably a rival. So yeah, that's big to hear that. Anything? What about BK? Anything he said that kind of?
No,
or is it's just on par?
I never take nothing from what BK said. He a politician, man.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
He's not gonna give you nothing noteworthy.
Yeah.
I mean, he said some good things about Donovan Green, Trey Green, talking some about Nussmeier's development, some things, but nothing really.
Let me ask this question before we get ready to get up out of here. LSU, the media hype. Do you think LSU is getting too much, or does that concern you, or you like, hey, I'm just ignoring it, don't matter to me?
I don't. Media hype does nothing for me. I need to see it week one.
Yeah, only thing it does. So
they've been hyping up this team since BK got here.
That's fair. I'm excited about the season, but I've been saying it. The media hype worries me, not because I think that they're wrong about LSU. I'm more worried that they may be right, and it gets to some of our players' heads.
If that happens, then BK is not running the ship the way he's supposed to.
Yeah. So, but man, that's it. That's all I got. You got anything else before we get ready to get up out of here?
Nah, man, that's all. Oh, we forgot to talk about
Mickey.
Yep.
Yeah.
We could save it. We could save it. We could talk about
it'll
this.
be in the highlight. It'll be in the highlights in the clip. So
Yeah,
I'm putting that together. I think you're gonna like it too, bro. I think you're gonna like the way I'm doing it. So all right, man. But ladies and gentlemen, I can't even play the theme music. Is nothing is working on this side.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get that fixed. But we'll be back on next week sometime, and just tune in like that. We are out.